everybody, welcome back. Today's video is kind of unusual. I haven't had a video in a while. Sorry about that. Not a whole lot's been going on. Van life has not been terribly exciting right now. So, I got this video coming out. I do have another one coming out pretty soon, but I thought I'd show it to you guys. So last week, a really good friend of mine, Chelle Clarke and I were talking, and we started talking about perception, how perception basically dictates your reality. So that was a really cool conversation. So we decided to take that conversation to Facebook, went live with it, to see who would jump in, help, join us. Not a ton of people joined us. We had a few people watching. It was kind of cool. So we posted it to Facebook and got some really great reactions to it. So I thought I'd post that conversation here so you guys could check it out. It got long. Unfortunately, Chelle and I do have a tendency to talk a very long time about various topics. So it does run about an hour. So if you guys can bear through it, I hope you guys decide to sit and watch. Watch however much if you want. Jump through if you want. Watch the whole thing. We found it pretty interesting and a lot of fun to do. So I hope you guys enjoy it. And if you have any comments, questions, please leave them below. Let us know if you have any questions for Chelle. Put them down in the comments below, and I'll make sure she gets it and she'll answer them for you. So thanks a lot, guys. And yeah, enjoy the conversation. So have a great one. Be well. Hey everybody, for any of you who are watching this, I know I just went live. I've invited my friend Chelle to join us in this talk. She just got so hopefully she'll be joining us soon. Let me see here. So we were having this great conversation earlier about perception. So we kind of wanted to relive that conversation, so to speak, for you guys. And I'm coming to you live from my van, my home, people. Not my home away from home, my home. This is where I live, for you who've never seen it. So here we go. Type to invite viewer. What? Sorry, I'm trying to figure this out still, so. We got one person. Danny, is that you watching? All right. So you can get someone else. Trying to get Chelle to join us. I did invite her to join, so I get her to accept my request to join us. All right, so yes, we're still waiting on Chelle. We want to do a joint conversation with her, and then after we do that, we'll probably invite other people to join in the conversation if you guys want to. Other than that, you can just leave comments down below. Hopefully, like I said, this will work. Trying to get the lighting right in here. So, so we got Danny is watching. What's up, Danny, my brother? And Ronnie VanGossen, my cousin, ladies and gentlemen. All right, dude. I'm glad you're here. Oh, here we go. Oh, here we go. Hi. It worked. We got it done.
Oh my gosh.
All right.
Okay.
And Janya, hey Janya, long time no see. Denise, glad you guys are here. So I was just, I don't know if what you saw of what I was putting on the video before you got on. I was telling folks that we were talking about perception.
Yep.
So
Please continue.
let you go ahead and take over and talk a little bit, and then we'll jump into what I had said earlier.
Oh man, you're giving me the stage.
Yes, I am. No pressure.
No
Miguel.
pressure. So Aaron is one of my longtime, very close bestie friends, and he was giving it to me straight, putting me in the hot seat, which I love but don't love, but love. And I asked him, I said, can you just pause what you just said? Because you wowed the out of me. And I really think yes, I censored myself. I think we should share this with everybody else because there's probably more people out there in Facebook land and the world around that could use, a reminder reminder like this, or perhaps if it's not a reminder, just a check. You know, we all need that. So perspective and perception is really everything. And sometimes we forget that. And sometimes, you know, I forget that. I'm a coach, I'm certified. I'm also a real estate investor, and you know, I'm working towards building up my wealth and creating a lifestyle that I love, enjoy, and really feel is authentic. And Aaron has been with me through this whole journey. Well, pretty much the whole journey. I don't know. I mean, I kind of started it right before we met, but you've been there alongside me. And he's always a voice of reason and wisdom. So, with that said, I've gone through some stuff lately, and sometimes I forget. I forget, even though I'm a coach, you know, just being fully transparent with you, sometimes I forget that I have successes. And Aaron was reminding me that it's really important to keep a proper perspective of ourselves, especially, you know. So I hope that was Aaron.
Yeah. No, I mean, you're right. And yeah, so well, I think before I told you before when you were talking about how you're a coach and this is kind of what you help people with, and all of a sudden you feel like you're dealing with the same kind of thing. And I'm like, well, yeah, it's the old adage, physician heal thyself.
Mm.
You know, so doctors need medical care, therapists need therapy,
Mm.
coaches need coaching. You know, we all need something somewhere. We're not perfect. We all have our faults, and we all have room for improvement, no matter who we are and what we do. And we were talking about perception, and I was saying how important it is because it really does it really can dictate how you, how you treat yourself, and it dictates how you view yourself, and from that, that dictates how you act towards the people, and that affects how they view you.
Right.
Like I said, like I told you, I can view myself as a middle-aged man living in a van working retail. Or I can perceive myself as being someone who is living my dream, having an adventure, you know, living a different kind of lifestyle because it interested me and I wanted some new adventure and I wanted to change because that's what I thrive on. I love change.
Right.
I thrive on change. I get bored real easily. So, I mean, am I a loser or am I successful? You know, and
Right.
honestly, it comes down to me. I'm the one who decides that. I mean, you can look at
Right.
me and go, wow, what a loser. But that's your perception. And your perception of me does not have to be my perception of me. I
Yes.
believe you're the one who told me that, actually. What was it you told me? What, you know what I'm talking about, right? What was the phrase exactly how it went again? Tell me again.
Les Brown. Les
Yes.
Brown. Your someone else's opinion of you. So I'm going to change the quote a little bit to apply a little better here.
Okay.
So Les Brown said this multiple times, and this really changed. This one idea changed my life when I was in the darkest part of my situation more than 10 years ago. And he said, someone else's opinion of you does not have to become your reality. So I want to say it again.
Yeah.
Someone else's opinion of us does not have to become our reality.
Right.
Okay, go.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. And it reminded me of a story I heard. I can't remember who told me the story. It could be Les Brown,
Mm-hmm.
or someone else. I know it's a story that kind of goes around, and it's a really great story when you think about perception and how you perceive yourself and how you perceive success and failure. And the
Tell
story
me.
is about Pete Best and Dave Mustaine. I almost forgot his name. Dave Mustaine. So Pete Best was those who don't know, he was the original drummer for the Beatles. And right after they fired him, or shortly after they fired him and hired Ringo Starr, they hit it big. They became the Beatles. And so for some time after that, Pete Best, I mean, he's a musician in the 60s, so he drank a lot, he abused drugs like they all did, you know. But I'm sure he went through a period where he was really depressed because he could have been a Beatle. You know, he could have
Right.
been
Right.
part of literally the biggest band in the history of rock and roll.
Yes.
There's no one bigger than the Beatles. And it doesn't matter who you are, where you live, what kind of music you listen to, you know the Beatles. And so But since then, he has had a really great career as a studio musician. He's toured with big bands. He's married, has kids, has grandkids, long-term marriage. Uh, and he said, I consider myself a very successful man
Mm.
because I get paid good money to do what I love to do. I have a great family, and I'm very happy. Um, if
Yeah.
he had become a Beatle, who knows what would happen to him? His
Right.
best friend was murdered because he was a Beatle. John Lennon was murdered because he was a Beatle. You know, it could have been Pete Best. This guy could have shot Pete Best to death. Who knows? They've gone through divorces and drug addiction and lived their entire life, their entire careers in the spotlight. You know,
Yeah.
and so for him, he realized that was not what he wanted,
Mm.
and he got exactly he didn't. And it's like the Rolling Stones song: "You don't always get what you want, but sometimes you get what you need."
Yeah.
And so this situation, he didn't get what he wanted, which was to be a hugely famous musician, but he got what he needed: a career, a family, a happy life. So he looks at his life and says, "I'm a very successful man."
Mm.
On the opposite side of that is Dave Mustaine. So Dave Mustaine, for those who don't know, was the original guitarist for Metallica, and he was very unceremoniously fired from the band. Like from what I hear, they walked into his room, gave him a one-way bus. They're in New York. They gave him a one-way bus ticket to L.A. and said, "You're fired. Get the fuck out." And so the whole bus ride home from New York to L.A. I don't know if that's what 5 days, a long ass bus ride home. On that
Right.
bus ride home, he promised himself, "I'm going to start a band, and we're going to outsell Metallica. Fuck Metallica, we're going to be better than them." So, so he formed Megadeth. Megadeth is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, speed metal band in the genre.
Wow.
They helped set the stage for speed metal.
Mm.
They inspired, I mean, speed metal and heavy metal, so many musicians since Megadeth came out have been inspired and influenced by Megadeth.
Right.
Uh, if he's not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, he should be.
Mm.
Uh, and I think Megadeth has sold him like around 18 million albums. That's hugely successful. The man's a millionaire. But Metallica has sold over 112, under 115 million albums. So they've
Wow.
sold him by 100 million albums. They're one of the biggest metal bands in the world. Despite all his success, Dave Mustaine has said in interviews, "I view myself as a failure because I have not outsold Metallica."
Wow.
I mean, you start one of the biggest bands in history, but because you don't outsell another band, you consider yourself a failure. That's perception right there. That's he is a hugely successful man. He has a kind of success that millions of aspiring musicians would dream of
Right.
having. They would kill to have that.
Right.
Some probably have killed to try to get that, and he's got
Who
it.
knows?
But
Right.
because he didn't show Metallica, they fucked up. He didn't show them, he didn't outsell them. He viewed himself as a failure. So,
Mm.
it's all about perception. You can be happy, you can be miserable. You can be angry, you can be depressed. You know, it's all about how you perceive your life and what's happening. You know, so yeah, I think a lot of people try to. I don't know. I think they spend too much time being too critical of themselves, and
Yeah.
they don't they don't look. Uh, I've said before, they don't see the forest for the trees. You know, like
It's okay.
you've
You
accomplished
can.
so much in the last
There you
couple
go.
of years. I am so impressed by what you've accomplished. But I think because you get so focused on where you want to go, you
Mm.
don't look back and see what you've achieved. And so your
Right.
perception is of yourself is, I have so much more to do. And what you need to do is change your perception and say, look at what I've done. Look at what I've accomplished. I've really accomplished a lot. And
Right.
keep that perception and keep moving.
Okay.
A lot of people, I would say so many people have dreams and goals.
Right.
And all those dreams and goals take steps. You got to take one step at a time. Well, you get halfway up those stairs, you still see, oh my God, I've got so many stairs to go.
Right.
Just look behind you and go, shit, I've come a long way. You know?
Yeah.
So yeah, perception. Yeah. So that's where we were coming from with perception. That story. So it's yeah. I mean it dictates how you feel about yourself, and that will determine how other people treat you. If you see yourself as a failure, they treat you as a failure. If you view yourself as successful, they'll treat you as successful. They'll be drawn to you. They'll be drawn to your energy.
Right.
If you love yourself and you're happy with yourself and like, damn it, look at me, I'm doing really well. If I go out every single day going, God damn it, I'm living my dream. I'm doing what I want to do. I'm taking a challenge. I'm challenging myself to live an adventurous lifestyle that very few people do and few people could handle. Not that many
Right.
people can handle this kind of lifestyle. You got
True.
to handle it. I honestly don't know a lot of people who can handle living in a van.
It's
I'm
hard.
actually getting used to it. I'm actually enjoying it now. There are so many times I'm like, wow, I'm so glad I did this. In the beginning, almost every night, I'm like, what am I doing? What am I doing? What am I doing? Oh my God, I'm making the biggest mistake of my life. What the hell am I doing? I need to get a house, a job. What am I doing? I'm living in a van. What am I doing with myself? It's like every night I was questioning myself. And now I'm at the point where I'm like, I'm enjoying this. This is fun. This is an adventure, and I'm not I'm not traveling as much as I want to right now, but I will.
You will.
And I'm taking the steps I need to take to make that happen.
Yep.
And as long as I don't perceive myself as being a failure, I can keep moving forward. As soon as I feel myself as being a failure, I should just sell the van and rent an apartment. So
Yeah.
and just give up. But you can't view yourself as a failure and take on challenges like doing van life or starting a business or whatever else, or going back to school, whatever, if you're like, I want to be a doctor, but nah, I can't see myself being, I'm not smart enough. Well, then you're not going to be.
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason why doctors have a reputation for being cocky assholes, because they perceive themselves as being really great guys or women. They perceive themselves as being very intelligent and very talented and very good at what they do, but they have to. You have to have that kind of cockiness. You have to have the attitude to be a doctor, or else you're gonna be a shitty doctor. You know, uh, fighter pilots. You have to be cocky to control a machine like that. You have to have that confidence to get in that cockpit and do that work. If you don't have that, you're second guessing yourself, and you're gonna die.
Mm-hmm.
You can't second guess yourself. Everything has to be automatic reflex. And if you don't perceive yourself as being good enough to do that, then you're not going to be. The second you the second you second guess yourself, you're done.
Yeah.
So, and that's true with a lot of areas in life. If you just tell yourself, I don't think I can do it, you're not going to do it. The funny is, the more people tell me I'm not going to be able, I'm not going to succeed at this, the more I want to do it. I've been very lucky that most of my friends and family have been very supportive, and those who have not been supportive have been quiet. So I really haven't received a lot of pushback from that. But I mean, there are challenges, and there are times I'm like, I don't, what am I doing, But for them, I've gotten some good support, but a lot of people don't support that. They don't understand it. They don't get it, And when I went to start my YouTube channel, a lot of people are like, most YouTube channels fail. So, you stand a very low chance of getting monetized your YouTube channel. Yeah, and guess what? The people who are influencers now are in the same spot I was when they started out. They had a very low chance of being successful. But whatever it is they did, it worked because they're successful now. They're influencers now. I'm pretty sure none of them ever thought they would be. I mean, what's his name? Mr. Beast on YouTube? He's the #1 YouTuber in the world. 157 million followers, I think he has. He has the most followers of anybody else. I've never watched a single video he's ever done. I don't know what he does. I've just heard about him. But if this guy had listened to people in the beginning, he wouldn't be where he is. He perceived himself as being like, I can make content people want to watch. That's how he perceived himself. And if I perceive myself as someone who's making crappy content, then I'm going to keep making crappy content. And my YouTube channel won't grow. If I perceive myself as someone who's making good videos, who's good on camera, who's creating entertaining and interesting content, then I'll keep doing it. And the thing is too, I have to keep wanting to get better. I have to keep wanting to improve myself, And if I perceive myself as being terrible, I'm not going to want to improve myself. I'm just going to quit. So
there you go.
you perceive
Yeah,
You can perceive yourself as being successful and perceive yourself as being intelligent and talented, but you still got to put the work in. So,
absolutely.
yeah.
I I love all of the things you just shared, and I think all of that is really important and powerful. It's a really good reminder for me and a great reminder for so many out there, because you're right, you know, it's too easy in our day and age, I feel like, to get caught up trying to compare and analyze ourselves and where we are compared to maybe the person we think we should be, or
Mhm.
perhaps that person, maybe if it's not that person we want to emulate, but maybe it's their lifestyle or what they have,
Right.
right? And what you just shared with me reminded me of the fact that unless we uh, truly can understand who we are, where we're going, and appreciate all of it, all of it, then what does any of it matter? And what I mean by that is, okay, so I'm spitballing here because you got my wheels turning in my brain
Good.
now. So
Good.
it's gonna be a shell talk for the real, you know, for the real. So I do I admit I tend to forget to take accounting or take inventory of where I have been and what I love about the successes. And as as one of my mentors would say, fall forward, you know, because we're always going to have moments in time where we skip a beat or we fail to some degree. And again, the perspective is everything. Maybe we're not really failing, but to me, it felt like a failure. For example, you know what I was working towards before COVID, and things felt like, okay, we're building up momentum.
Yeah.
This is great. You knew I talked to you in depth about all the struggles, all the successes, and then bam, like just side blinded. So it doesn't matter how
Yeah.
smart we think we are or what we think we can predict. There is always going to be an element of surprise in life and an element of surprise in business,
Yeah.
especially entrepreneurship. So,
Yeah. And, and yeah, and you're right. In entrepreneurship, especially in entrepreneurship, there's always like huge setbacks. Always.
mm,
You put everything you've got into this one business and it just falls apart.
oh yeah.
Well, then okay, so perception. Are you a failure or did you learn something from this experience?
Okay, so I'm glad you brought that up
Yeah.
because you know I'm going to be transparent with our community, both of our audiences, whoever's out there right now watching
Mhm.
this. I struggled. I struggled really hard with this, and I want to be clear for those of you out there. It doesn't matter how educated a person is. I've got certifications and other different types of certifications, degrees in other areas. I study psychology, I study business. Aaron knows this. I probably bug him way too much with sharing all the stuff I'm learning.
Not at all.
But that's what I do every day. Personal and professional development, I am is truly obsessed with. I love it. But it doesn't matter how smart we are or what we think we've learned. At the end of the day, it really comes back down to what you said. How do we perceive ourselves? And the older that I get, the more I realize how important that is, perception, and how powerful. Because while I was going through building up for the second time my business, and for those of you that don't know, let me just give you a little context, a little backstory, and then I'll come right back to where the point that I was trying to make here, which is I spent a long time thinking about, okay, I want to be an entrepreneur, but what does that mean? It's really scary for me. And my grandmother, my mom, my adopted mom, all entrepreneurs. And in my mind, I kind of held them at a high esteem, right? It was like, wow, they are so incredibly talented and intelligent. The woman who raised me became a lawyer later on in age. So, just for some of you out there right now who think you're too old to accomplish a thing you've always wanted to accomplish,
Yeah.
that again is all perspective based perception. It's something we tell ourselves, doesn't make it true, does
Yeah.
not make it true. if it's your passion, if it's the thing you really at least just want to explore, maybe you think it's your passion, but you don't know. Just look, I'm just going to say it. Why not try it? It doesn't hurt to explore the options. So this woman did this at a later age, and she did really well. Turns out she's really good at it. Contract law, real estate law, that's her jam.
Wow.
She loves it. She's good at it. But she went through hell to get to that particular point, right? So I think of her, as much as, I have a lot of other things to say, I always think about that because that's admirable to me. So thinking about like being an entrepreneur and building a business was intimidating, super, super intimidating to me. And I wish more influencers would talk about what it takes behind the scenes. So I'm really grateful that you're taking time out to do this live with me, because it's really important that people see the backside. In 10 years from now, you and I are going to be in a different place. So it's going to be fun to look back on this video. Okay, going back to building the business, becoming a coach, creating you was my first baby, my first brainchild. And I was so insecure about, I don't know, just about me, like insecure about my abilities. And I saw this whole vision and I really wanted to make it happen, but yada, yada. And anyway, I met a gal. She became my mentor. And I really came to love and respect this person. I really, even to this day, we're not as close as we were at one point, but I really love and respect this person because she made such a big impact in how I perceive the world and perceive myself. And one of the seeds she planted in me was, you can do it if you believe. Like, there's some magic here. I believe in you, but the reality is you need to believe in yourself, right? So creating you lasted for a little while until it didn't, and crashed and burned.
No.
But hey, you don't know what you don't know about business. It didn't matter what you study in books. Like, that's all theory. Everything we read in a book.
I've had many failures in my life. Trust me, I know. A lot of things I've gone into going, wow, this would be great. And they're like, oh, shit, it didn't work out at all.
It didn't, yeah.
Yeah.
But we learned, and then from there, I had a lot of love and support to create Eden Lifestyle. And let me tell you, that took several years in the making. I labored over the name, the acronym, the values, the vision, all the things, and was really building momentum. And then COVID happened, and I think you'll remember probably better than I do how that felt. It was sort of like taking the wind out of your sails, or at least that's how I felt, because I felt like we were doing great, working, writing awesome blogs, creating videos, like we had great plans, and then bam, okay, the whole world is changing, and now what do we do? Like, how do I navigate this? And I did allow fear and the uncertainty of what was going to happen tomorrow to sort of overtake me.
Yeah.
So while there were other people that I saw and knew that were thriving during the pandemic, I sort of sat back. I took the time to reflect and reevaluate, and in some part was fearful about what was going to happen next and what do I do next. And you and I talked a lot, so the change, the challenges and the changes. So I feel like I've talked a lot, so I'm going to hand it back over to you before I make my final point.
No, I think it's interesting you mentioned COVID again, because like perception, my perception, my experience of COVID was way different than yours.
Right.
I mean, you lost your job, you lost your home, you lost your business that you were starting, you lost a lot. Before COVID, my life was I went to work and I would go home and I would hang out at home. On rare occasion, I went out with friends, but it wasn't that often. So COVID came out, and all I could do was go to work and go home. And that's all I did. And
Yeah.
my life didn't change that much because I was kind of introverted then. I really wasn't interested in going out a lot. I was roommates with my best friend, so I got to see her all the time. So it was like great, I wasn't alone. I wasn't stuck. I wasn't quarantined at home alone or quarantined all day long with people. After all, like my God, I had to go to work, and I'm glad that I had still my job because I was getting my paycheck, I was getting my benefits. I will admit, part of me was jealous that certain friends of mine were getting unemployment and getting stimulus checks. I wasn't. You know, I'm like, I want to take time off, but again, I, I was very fortunate, you know, and I can perceive my experience with COVID as I was lucky to have my job and my benefits, or I can go, well, shit, why'd I have to work? Why couldn't I get unemployment for a year?
Right.
Why couldn't I have a year to explore and reinvent myself or whatever I wanted to do and figure I mean, before I became a van lifer, I watched a lot of van life videos, and so many people became van lifers during COVID. Like they lost their job, and like, all right, and I'm going to lose my apartment or house soon, so let's just build out a van and live in it.
Right.
So it's yeah. I mean, I look at it both ways. For a while, like I said, I was it sounds stupid. I was jealous of my friends who were getting unemployment. I mean, you're getting money every week and not doing anything. Damn it! Government's giving you money because you can't work, and but I'm essential because I work at a grocery store, so I have to go to work and I have to deal with the bullshit still every day. My actually, my life did change a bit. It was way more stressful working there during COVID, especially in the beginning,
Right.
because so many people were just some complete douchebags about
Right.
everything, and it just got to the point where just like I would there are a few days I called in and I said I'm not coming in today because if I do I'm going to throw punch somebody. I can't take it right now. Um, another thing I wanted to share with you too that you reminded me of was you were talking about your adopted mom going back to college and becoming a lawyer later in life. And for some reason, it reminded me of something my mom told me one time.
Mm.
And I was young, I was like maybe 22, and I was contemplating going back to college and getting a degree. And I was talking to her, and I said, and I was like, I'm looking at 4 more years of college, like 4 years of college, but I want to get my life started. And she goes, you're 22 now. I said, yeah. And she goes, in 4 years, you're going to be 26. I said, yeah. And she goes, you're going to be 26 either way. Do you want to be 26 with a degree or 26 without a degree? Choose. Like, you're right. 4 years is going to pass anyway.
Right.
So at the end, so in 4 years from now, do I want to have a degree or not have a degree? So I made the choice, and in 4 years later, I did not have a degree. I was doing something completely different. I didn't get my degree until much later in life. But I mean, I thought that was really great advice, and she gives that
Yeah.
advice. She gives that advice to people all the time. Well, not all the time, but quite a few people. They're like, "Oh, it's gonna be so long to get that done," and she's like, "You're gonna be there anyway. Do you want to be
Right.
there with it or without it? So time passes either way. So you can spend that time wisely or not." So
Ooh, yes, that right there.
I
Spend our
just thought
time.
that I just pulled that out of my ass.
Well, okay,
Put
it was
that
a good
shit
one.
on a mug.
We should. We will.
Time
Side
time
note.
gonna time's gonna pass anyway. You're gonna spend it wisely or not. Yeah. So there you go.
No, you know what? It's true. And I appreciate you taking the time out today to encourage me because, it's been hard. And it's like you just said, spend time. Time is going to pass anyway.
Yeah.
That we cannot stop or control. So what we can control is what we choose to do, how we choose to perceive ourselves, how we choose to perceive each other, the world around us, and how we're going to spend our time. And I mean, if you think about time like money, I think
Mhm.
it kind of puts it into perspective because it's like if
Yep.
this person, if you will, bear with me with this analogy here, because now that I've gone through what I've gone through, this is kind of how I think of it now. It's like, okay, I think of this person as costing, and I mean this in the best way, not, it could, this is rough. I'm sharing the rough draft with you. It could come out totally kind of wonky, but you think about, okay, do I want to go out to the bar? I've had a rough day. Do I want to go out to the bar and have drinks and get like schmuckered and forget about all my stuff? Well, how much is that actually going to cost me in the end? What's that
Yeah.
worth to me? That that's what I'm talking about. Like hanging out with specific people to do specific things. How much is that
Mhm.
actually worth, and what's it going to cost us? Because both of those factors in our perception, like, are things that are important to ask ourselves. That are things I never used to
Yeah.
ask myself.
Yeah.
You know, and maybe that comes with weight, you know, with age and like wisdom, but it's nonetheless,
Yeah.
it's starting to help me to reevaluate the choices that I make in my life and in my business.
Yeah.
And right now, you know, I'm in a position where it's not easy. You know, I do have I've got the one rental property, and my experience as a property manager, uh, it's interesting. It's interesting.
Yeah.
I give a lot of respect to
Yeah.
property managers. I will tell you that right now.
Yeah.
Okay. It's hard. I've been told by many people. I have a dear friend of mine who has many rental properties. She does not manage them per se, but many rental properties. And she's like, I don't know if I could do what you do or did, and how you do what you do. I hear that a lot. I hear that a
Yeah.
lot because I got started in real estate house hacking. You know, I mean that was after COVID. The pandemic totally rocked my plans. I had a career and like building up my business and
Yeah.
plans to be a real estate investor, and like I had all that in motion, and then just whoop.
You just started was it future managers program at MindBody, or some kind of a managerial like 6 month
Yeah.
program that you got accepted into, and you were so excited about doing this that it was a mentorship or something. And
Oh yeah.
sorry, I forgot what it was, but yeah, and you had that going for you as well, and that fell through. So like
Yeah.
I mean for
The
you,
pandemic
everything was coming up roses for a while,
for a quick minute.
and then you got shit on. So
And then, oh yeah, tell
oh
that
yeah.
story, because that was another one.
Oh yeah. So the other story I told you, so it also deals with perception as well. So it's the middle of winter, and a little bird's sitting on the ground. The bird's freezing cold, it's freezing to death. And so while it's freezing to death, a cow walks by and takes a huge shit right in the bird. And the bird's like, "Oh my god, I just got shit on! What the hell? I just got shit on!" But then the bird realizes the shit is warm, and it's warming him up because he was freezing cold. Now he's warm. Now he's getting comfortable. So now he's happy, and he starts chirping. Well, a cat hears the chirping, so the cat comes up to the shit, digs to the pile of shit, finds the bird, and eats it. The moral of the story is, not everyone who shits on you is your enemy. Not everybody who gets you out of shit is your friend. And if you're happy and comfortable, shut the fuck up. And I do not censor myself.
Clearly.
So yeah. Again, another another form of perception. Did I just get shit on, or is someone trying to help me stay warm? You know,
It's up to us, I guess.
and is this person helping me, or are they helping themselves? And that's a big thing too. So many people, like narcissists, sociopaths, take advantage of you, making you think that they're helping you, and
Right.
they're not. And they're just manipulating you. So,
Right.
but that's what makes them
Right.
dangerous. You can't always perceive what they're doing, because they know how to manipulate you. So they know how to manipulate your perception of them. So,
Oh, oh, yeah. You make
yeah,
a good point actually with that. I know we're going off onto another rail here, but this is
yeah,
really important, I feel like, because that is really important. And if before I say what I'm going to say, would you mind repeating what you just said about narcissists and how they know how to make you
oh,
perceive them?
yeah, they know how to manipulate your perception of them,
But
so that you
they know,
you think they're helping you. Yeah,
right? And that
yeah,
fits perfectly. I've experienced that. You know that. You've
yeah,
experienced it
yeah,
too. And so there's some lessons to be learned from narcissists. I've had a few interactions, well, more than a few. And at first it was jarring. And now I look at it and I say, cool, thank you for the
yeah,
lesson.
Yeah.
because you taught me something about myself and you showed me something about you and the world about around me that I didn't see before. And that
Yeah.
I think is powerful. The more
Yeah.
that we, can acknowledge growth, but also getting back to perspective and perception of ourselves is really important. And the thing about narcissism, I know we're just going to go off on this rail for a brief moment. I was watching a specific doctor I love to follow who talks a lot about narcissism. And she was making the point in this one particular video, she was saying that narcissists typically, in what they have found in business, tend to make the most money. Surprise, surprise. They tend to be the most quote unquote successful in business. Not surprising. The narcissists I have met and engaged with, yeah, I get that because they're not afraid to
Yeah.
just, right? Whereas some
Yeah.
of us who get stuck in this cycle of not believing enough in ourselves, here you have a person who overinflates their self-worth because they feel so deeply insecure.
Yeah.
Okay, another video for another time on that.
Right.
But the point is, I found it interesting because I realized I didn't have enough faith or belief in myself.
Yeah.
That's what I realized. And I know when we first became colleagues and then friends, I think correct me if I'm overspeaking, but I feel like the same for you,
Mm-hmm.
where we both had significant insecurities in ourselves for one reason or another about the thing. The thing meaning whatever the thing is we really want to accomplish, our biggest goal, passion, desire felt so far away from us because we didn't feel worthy enough. We didn't feel like we were smart enough, good enough, whatever. Whereas you meet a narcissist that comes by and they're like, whatever, dude, I got this in the bag.
Yeah.
Back. What? I am the best you ever met. And
Yeah.
at first, I didn't know that was narcissist. Okay, there's somebody who's overconfident. There's egoism, and then there's that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
anyway, what I realized is in business, as an entrepreneur especially, you want to have some sort of balance between all the things. It's about recognizing, where am I right now? How do I really feel about myself? Because what you said earlier rings true. How we perceive and feel about ourselves is going to attract or detract those around us. And if we're looking to achieve a specific goal, or lifestyle or whatever, like whether that be increase our income, increase our influence, increase our joy in our life, then it's like Gandhi said, right? Be the thing. Be the thing you wish to see more of in the world.
Yeah.
And there's a whole lot we could talk about on another video that proves that is true. But it is true. So the more that we look at ourselves, perceive ourselves as being worthy, the more that we then will act accordingly. Our reticular activating system in the brain will make it so. It's a beautiful thing that we have, and we don't understand it enough. But that being said, if we at least begin to believe that it's true, and I know we've been on this for a while, so I'm going to wrap us up here for for those that are going to watch the replay and who will never miss another live again, is
Right.
do a quick plug on the Chelle Talk and the Aaron time, is the fact that how we perceive ourselves and our abilities and our successes and our failures makes the most difference, because the people around us can say what they want to say. An opinion is a dime a dozen, but we get to either accept or reject. Like, we can buy what they're selling, or we don't have to. Like, that's our choice,
Right.
even when it feels like we don't have a choice, because sometimes those strong opinions of us come from somebody that we value, somebody that we probably overvalue in some cases.
Yeah.
It could be a parent or a teacher or whatever. And you look at them, or we look at them, and we think, gosh, they have all the things, right? Again, we're comparing. They have all the things that I wish I had, and they must be smarter than me. And the message I want to wrap up this whole thing with is that's not necessarily true at all.
Right.
Each and every one of us has intelligence, has the capabilities, has the opportunity. And I know that's a whole nother conversation for another time regarding stuff that I won't even get into right now. But what I have to say is, from somebody, and you can validate this, somebody who was building and had failed and then rebuilt and felt like she was succeeding, and then bam, all of it gone, and had to rebuild and reevaluate myself. And like, I went through some dark days. I had to face my shadow self multiple times, and that was not easy, and it wasn't fun. And now to be in the position where I'm at, and there's some things I can't talk about publicly just yet. But fingers crossed, the business deals go through successfully, and then after the fact, I can talk about the experience. But when it comes to being an entrepreneur, being a professional, it's not easy, especially in this day and age. There's a lot of challenges that we all have to face, and we all have our own like demons and angels on our shoulders, right? We all have our own different types of like childhood trauma and perceptions of ourselves as a result. And what I want to share with you guys, since you made it to this point in the video, is please don't give up on you. Don't. One of the mistakes I've made in my life is to degrade myself unceremoniously. Like, it was another video for another time, talking about why and how and all the things, but not worth it. Don't self-flagellate. Self-flagellation is unsexy, and it's unproductive, and it doesn't help anybody.
Yeah.
And don't, if you could just take one thing away, it would be to look for the good in you. Wherever you are, however much you have failed, if you could look for the good in you. Perspective and perception is everything. It equates to the outcome, meaning that how much joy or not joy, how much, happiness, or how we how resilient we are to get through the hard stuff. It comes back to how we perceive ourselves. I have to say it again, like Les Brown said, another's opinion of us doesn't have to become our reality unless we allow it to. We can buy it or we can reject it. And what I'm asking you to do is to spend more time being purposeful and intentional in who you want to be. And I would encourage you to take stock of what you love about you. Start with that. And if there is something that you want to improve, something that you think, oh, you know what, this could be better. I'm not super happy about this. Maybe you feel shame, blame, guilt, whatever. It's okay. Accept it. Learn to embrace that part. We call that the shadow self. Learn to embrace the shadow part of ourselves. Give it a big ass and hug that it really needs, because it never got that in the beginning when we were growing up, and just move forward. Say, okay.
Yeah.
I don't like that I overreact in these circumstances. I don't love that I cope in this way and that way, because it's not productive. So what do I want to do instead? And then just do it. Just do it. Just make the change and do it.
Yeah.
I have had to make so many lifestyle changes just to be healthy, and I'm still figuring it out. So
I reinvent myself every 3 to 5 years. I mean,
there you go.
it's ridiculous. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So as we sign off, what is your sign off message?
Wow, that's a tough one. I'm going to talk about perception. So, I mean, honestly, look at your life and look at your successes. Look what's going well for you. Don't dwell on what's not happening.
Right.
You actually reminded me, if I can do another quick share. You reminded me of something I actually kind of realized, but you reminded me about this. So, I got divorced 9 years ago. I have not had a relationship since. I've dated a few women, had a few dates here and there, nothing serious. And so for a long time, I perceived myself as being a failure at relationships. I perceived myself as being, oh, well, I'm a broke, middle-aged divorced dude who wants to date me. That was my perception of myself. And that perception of myself affected how I acted around other people, particularly women who I wanted to date. And so that perception of myself kind of showed through, and that's what they saw. You know, even if they didn't see that, they saw that perception that I had of myself. So I thought of myself as not a good catch, so they viewed me as being not a good catch. And it was a catch-22. You know, it was or the vicious circle, you know. But now I don't view myself that way at all. I'm like, you know what? If I was in a relationship, a committed relationship, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing right now.
Right.
You know, I wouldn't have sold my car and bought a van and be traveling around the country. What I'm doing right now and my goals and my dreams for right now in my life, it's not conducive to a relationship.
Right.
And maybe part of me knew that, which is why I never got really, which is why, I don't know if that was the reason or doing that fed into being a van lifer. I don't know. You know, which one fed the other? Which one which one's a chicken? Which one's the egg? I don't know. You know. But yeah, and now I'm like, you know what? I'm truly happy being single. I'm okay with it. I don't feel the need to have someone in my life in that capacity. You know. I mean, yeah, I like to go on dates. I like to be with people, you know. But I don't need someone in my life in that context. And I don't judge myself harshly for not having that in my life anymore. I actually look at my life and go, I'm kind of glad I don't right now. I don't need that. It's not going to help me. If I start dating, I mean, I'm planning on moving to Oregon at the end of summertime. If I met someone now and fell in love with her, I might not move, and I don't want to do that. I want to move. I'm not giving up my dreams again. I've done that before. I've given up my dreams and my goals when I started dating someone, you know, and and I'm not ever doing that again. I have plans, I have goals, and I'm going to achieve those, you know, and if someone wants to spend time with me for the next couple of months, great. We'll hang out together. We'll have fun. We'll enjoy each other's company. And when the time comes, I'm rolling on. And I'm going to be up in Oregon for a while. And when the time comes, I'm going to roll on. You know.
Right.
And if I'm dating someone up there, we can either do a long distance or she can go, great, good luck. I'll see you around. You know. You know, maybe I'll meet someone who's okay with me taking out for 2 or 3 months and coming back. Maybe I'll meet, like I remember you suggested that you're like, I think the perfect relationship for you would be another van lifer, someone who's also traveling around. You know, you can do your own thing. My favorite YouTuber is Chrome on Van City Van Life, and he made quite a few videos talking about how happy and content he was being single. He loved being single. He'd been married and divorced. He'd had relationships, and he was like, I have not had a relationship in 8 years. I am so happy. I've never been this happy, and I'm happy being single. And now he's dating someone. He's dating another van lifer. He's dating a woman he met on the road. She's a van lifer. She has her own YouTube channel, and they'll spend months at a time traveling around apart from each other, and then meet up somewhere and spend a few months traveling together. And that's their relationship. And it works for them because they both love their independence. They both love he loves being spontaneous and driving around a lot. Yeah. She loves parking for a few days or a week in one spot and exploring.
Yeah.
He gets up at 4 o'clock in the morning. She sleeps until 10 or 9, you know. So they're really different people. But they've found a way to make a relationship work.
Right.
So they've got months at a time where they do whatever the hell they want to do, and then for a few months at a time when they're together, they compromise.
I love it.
You know, so yeah, and so it's again all about perception. I can perceive myself as being a lonely middle-aged man with no one in my life, or I can go, you know what, I'm living my dream. I'm living my best life. I'm doing what I want to do right now, and I'm not letting anyone stop me from doing it. So yeah.
And on that note, as we sign out, I love that share because you're right. I could perceive myself as being a failure because I didn't achieve what I thought I was going to have achieved by now. But at the end of the day, I don't know that I would trade the experience because I've learned so much and I've
Yeah.
grown so much. I mean, you even made that comment too. And like I've seen you grow and become this more secure, confident, happier person. And that matters because the impact that you then get to have on the people around you, even if you don't conceptually realize that, but just in passing at a grocery store because you're happier with who you
Yeah.
are, even though you're still working towards your goal and you haven't achieved like that billionaire status or whatever the
Right.
fuck it is we're trying to achieve.
I'm not an
Like
influencer yet.
but you are in a different way.
Right.
You're just
Yeah.
not that type of influencer that you have
Right.
in your mind.
I may
Like me too.
be
I'm not,
influencing a couple people at a time. I'm not influencing 100,000 people at a time.
but
Yeah.
but then again, this is how it starts.
Exactly.
This is how we
Yeah.
do the thing we do, right? Like the version of me that I have planned out is not there yet.
Right.
I'm in the process of it, and
Yeah.
that matters, should be celebrated. So
Yeah.
on that note, I got to go check on my animals.
All right. And on that note, I gotta find a place to sleep tonight. How many of you
Fair
can
enough.
say
All right.
that? How many of you can go walk around going, shit, I gotta find a place to sleep tonight? Yeah.
And so call me later.
I will.
All
All
right.
right.
See you.
Thanks for joining us, everyone. Have a good night.
Bye.
Bye.